The COVID-19 vaccine. What do I need to know? Brought to you by the Montana chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics. First up are the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. They use mRNA technology and 2 doses are required. The Pfizer vaccine has been approved for people 16 years or older and the Moderna vaccine for people 18 years or older. Studies in younger children are happening now. Next is the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. It uses adenovirus to carry the vaccine component into our bodies. It has been approved for people 18 years or older and only requires 1 dose. Then the AstraZeneca and Novavax vaccines, they are being studied in clinical trials. So how does the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines work?
mRNA vaccines have been in development for 20 years and are now approved to prevent COVID-19. Unlike some other types of vaccines, mRNA vaccines do not contain any pieces of the virus. Instead, the COVID-19 mRNA vaccine teaches our own cells to make the quote-unquote spike protein found on the surface of the coronavirus, triggering an immune response. In short, they help our bodies produce antibodies specific to the virus, along with T cells that also confer immunity. That sounds great, right? But I bet you're thinking, how exactly does this work? Well, it works by simply reproducing the same immune response that happens in a natural infection, but without actually infecting your body. Cool, right? Still, there are some common misconceptions about this vaccine, so let's break them down. Number 1, this type of vaccine is new, but it's not unknown. Research and development of these vaccines have gone on for decades before this pandemic. Number 2, these vaccines do not affect or interact with your DNA, and the mRNA never actually enters the nucleus of the cell. Number 3, while the vaccine does have some side effects like the potential for fever and soreness, they do not infect your body with the coronavirus. Side effects after vaccination are not uncommon. Number 4, yes, if you have recovered from COVID-19, you should still consider a vaccine. We still don't know how long immunity to the virus lasts. Number 5, vaccination along with face masks, social distancing, and hand washing is key to resume social gatherings and reopen the economy. Got more vaccine-related questions? Leave them in the comments.
What do I need to know about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine?
I would definitely take the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. My name is Dr. Anthony Fauci, and I'm the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases and the chief medical advisor to President Biden, and I'm going to answer questions about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. This is a vaccine that works, and it only requires 1 dose. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine uses a particular what we call vaccine platform, and you inject it into the body sees that protein, makes it a good immune response against the entire virus. The COVID vaccine doesn't give you COVID because it's not the virus. It's just 1 protein from the virus that induces your body to make a good response against the whole virus. Well, it's not. Tested in the United States, it's 72% effective in preventing you from getting moderate to severe disease, but virtually 100% protective against hospitalizations and death, as proven by this trial that was done.
Now, what steps have gone into the development and approval of these vaccines? Please note that this video was released in December 2020.
You may have heard that the search for COVID-19 vaccines and antibodies is being done much faster than normal. This is true, but we're not cutting any corners or skipping any steps. Our primary concern is the safety of people who will receive the vaccine. Before people join studies that test vaccines or antibodies, scientists thoroughly test them in the laboratory and in animals. Scientists use information from these studies to decide if the vaccine or antibodies should be tested in people. We only move ahead with studies in people if the animal studies show that the vaccine or antibody appears to be safe. When scientists test the vaccine or antibody in people, they always do so in 3 main steps or phases. In phase 1, we test the vaccine or antibody in a small group of people to make sure to appear safe. The goal of phase 2 is to make sure the vaccine looks safe and that we have what we think is the dose that could be most effective. Phase 2 studies are done after Phase 1 studies have shown that the vaccine or antibody appears to be safe. In Phase 2 studies, we test the vaccine or antibody in a few hundred people to see if there are any safety concerns that were not seen in Phase 1. Phase 2 studies also help us decide how much and how often we should give the vaccine or antibody. The studies we are doing now are in Phase 3, so we have already completed these first two very important steps. And that's where several vaccines are as of December 2020. These types of studies enroll thousands of people. A Phase 3 study doesn't start until the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and an independent group of scientists and doctors review the information from the studies that have already been done. They look at information about the safety in people and animals, and they look at the information from people's blood and nasal samples to see if they think that the vaccine or antibody might protect people from getting the virus. The Phase 3 study cannot start without the approval of this independent group called the Data Safety Monitoring Board. They watch over the study until it's finished. Just like we do in the earlier studies, in Phase 3 studies, we also keep a close eye on safety across the thousands of people who joined. We also look to see if the vaccine or antibody actually prevents people from getting sick, or if it can help to prevent people from developing such severe illness. When scientists develop a vaccine or an antibody, they usually don't start Phase 2 studies until the Phase 1 studies have finished, and they don't start Phase 3 studies until after the Phase 2 studies have ended. Normally, the time in between Phase 1 and Phase 2 is several months, and between Phase 2 and Phase 3 can be a year or more. This time is needed for planning and raising money to do the large study. With COVID-19 vaccines, these time periods have been greatly reduced. Everyone involved, including the FDA, is working 7 days a week to make sure data are reviewed as soon as they're available. Importantly, the manufacturing procedures that are required to go from small to large batches of vaccines are being compressed, and they are being paid for by the United States government so that companies do not have to raise money for these large trials. In the search for a COVID-19 vaccine or antibody, we are overlapping some of the steps instead of doing them one after the other. But we aren't skipping any of the steps. COVID-19 has impacted all of us. To stop the virus, we urgently need a vaccine for prevention. We need to work quickly, but not at the risk of anyone's safety. Learn more at covidvaccinewa.org.
What side effects might I have after receiving the vaccine?
Getting a COVID-19 vaccine will help keep you from getting COVID-19. After getting vaccinated, you may have some side effects, which are normal signs that your body is building protection against COVID-19. During clinical trials, common side effects included pain, chills, swelling, tiredness, fever, and headache. These side effects may affect daily activities and make you feel like you have the flu, but they should go away in a few days. If you have pain or discomfort from fever, talk to your healthcare provider about taking an over-the-counter medicine such as ibuprofen or acetaminophen. Use your arm and apply a cool washcloth over the area to reduce the discomfort where you got the shot. Drink plenty of fluids and dress lightly if a fever is causing you discomfort. In most cases, discomfort from fever or pain is normal. Call your healthcare provider if redness or tenderness increases after 24 hours, if your side effects are worrying you, or they do not seem to be going away after a few days. If you experience any of these signs, call your healthcare provider right away. After you're vaccinated, remember to get a second shot if one is required. Continue to wear a mask in public, avoid crowds, and stay 6 feet away from others, and wash your hands often. For more information, go to www.cdc.gov/coronavirus.
Thanks to our partners, the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, the Washington State Department of Health, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the White House. And what do the vaccine numbers look like for this week for our state and country?